Melissa Delana of Delana Law. Now, Melissa is, in my opinion, one of the most insightful and experienced guests on the show. That's right, I said it. And today, she's going to talk to us about financial transfers, okay, and being prepared with certified funds. Now, Melissa, are you saying I can't bring a bag of cash to the closing?
That's exactly what we're saying. That's right, Greg. So bags of cash cannot be used. In fact, I just had that conversation with clients yesterday, and it does happen. I call it mattress money, where we'll get a call and someone will say, well, I don't have any bank accounts, and I'd really like to bring cash to a transaction. Can we do that? And the answer is really no. There's no way for us to count it. There's no way for it to be sourced. Even if it's a true cash transaction, makes it really just logistically difficult. And I've actually called over to different banking institutions that we have relationships with and say, I have a closing, it's cash, my clients need to come with 250,000. Can I use your services to count this money? Because I don't have the manpower to count 250,000 the old fashioned way, right? I'd be here for 2 days.
Mhm.
And they've said no, because, again, there's this inherent risk of we don't know where the funds came from. We can't source it. Is it used for illicit or illegal purposes? Was it used for terrorist activities? It's a no bueno. So you need to have a bank account, right? It's part of being a grown up. You're going to buy a house. You should probably put a bank account aside. And of course, you can start planning to put the cash into the accounts in ways that it's not necessarily going to trigger. You don't have to deposit 250 all at once because people are worried about it's now being identified by the bank. So if you're putting in smaller chunks of cash, then it's not necessarily being flagged, but you know that you need to give yourself a fairly wide turn time to do that. In fact, I've even had clients tell me that they've spread the money out to various bank accounts, and they can do whatever they want to do so long as we get the certified funds for the closing. The biggest issue that we're having right now is the amount of relocation clients that we're still servicing. So folks that are coming in from out of state, oftentimes their banks are not local. So if they're working with a community credit union in Oklahoma, then they don't have personal access to be able to go in and secure a bank check for the closing, which is probably what you do for your closings, right? So alternatively, what about a wire? Well, I mean, wire fraud concerns aside for a minute here, wires work. However, one of the biggest problems we're having, Greg, is that regular people don't have wire setup feature by phone. So they can't just call the bank and say, yes, I'd like to initiate a wire for $56,312.02. They're like, okay, great. Well, you can go to your nearest branch and then we will help you with that. Well, again, Oklahoma is not terribly close to here. So that becomes a bit of a problem. And we recently tried to circumvent that with a power of attorney. So my clients were here in Rhode Island. Their bank was in Florida. They had family in Florida. So we put a power of attorney in place. Then, in fact, the family member went to the bank, was able to initiate the wire on their behalf back to us, and it was no problem. We had the same question come up not less than 3 weeks later, because again, this is becoming a consistent problem. Same issue. We went to the bank and said, how about a financial power of attorney so that a family member who's there can initiate? They said, no, our legal department needs to review that and it takes 3 days. Well, as luck would have it, that was the closing day. So needless to say, 3 days for them to approve or not approve a financial power of attorney to initiate this wire just wasn't going to work. So unfortunately for those folks, they had to get in the car and drive to the nearest branch, which was in New Jersey. So it's really unfortunate without proper planning, the hoops that our clients have to jump through when you're already at the end of the transaction, right? Everybody's done everything right. You've gone through the inspections, you've gone through the financing, you're ready for your closing, but you forget the most important part, the money, honey.